my very first final point, my final segment of this evening, I want to talk about something near and dear to my heart. I want to talk about the exploitation of tragedy and how we as a society discuss political issues. And I want to talk about gun control. In particular, I want to talk about how all of this pertains to the mass shooting and killing at Umpqua Community College in Oregon on October 1st and the reaction that followed. Scant minutes after a gunman robbed innocent individuals of their lives, media across the country set their wheels turning to harvest this tragedy for their own benefit. Now, I know that sometimes the best way to help, the best way to love our fellow man, is to take any action we can. Love, after all, isn't just a feeling. It's a choice. It's an action. And that's true not just in the case of our families and our friends, but in the case of national emergencies as well. It's our natural inclination as human beings to be horrified, heartbroken, and in a hurry to prevent another such mass loss of life. But using tragedy for political interests, to further political agendas by exploiting the emotions of all of us affected, is the surest sign of an ulterior motive. Our first action, our first responsibility, is to celebrate the lives of those who had their ultimate freedom stolen with them, to grieve with the family and friends of those who lost their most beloved. Only then is it appropriate to discuss the practical measures to prevent another such occurrence of evil. And when we do talk about it, it's our moral imperative to discuss this openly and honestly, with no motives in politics or power. That's why I don't want to hear media and politicians blandly advocating for gun control. I want to talk about, instead, the statistically proven most effective way to prevent and stop serial killers from robbing innocent people of their lives. If gun control factors into that discussion, let's talk about it. But it doesn't. In the meantime, let's have a more practically relevant discussion. Let's talk about why we have gun-free zones in a free country, why the security guard was unarmed and unable to defend the victims, why the students were unarmed and unable to defend themselves and each other, why the teachers were unarmed and unable to defend themselves and those around them. Let's talk about who thinks gun-free zones are a safeguard on our liberty rather than a liability to our safety and freedom. Let's talk about which elected officials support gun-free zones, which are safe havens for serial killers. And let's talk about how we, the people, vote those elected officials out of office for exploiting others for their own political gain. I want to hear about the American people taking back the narrative from the media and encouraging legal gun ownership and self-defense, the most effective method in a flawed society of flawed people to control and mitigate tragedy carried out by demented individuals and not by autonomous firearms. I want to hear an honest discussion in the wake of tragedy, not a politicized, divisive, self-centered tantrum driven by those whose business it is to nurture drama rather than debating productive solutions to pressing problems. That's what we're going to do on this show. Whether you lean right, left, lurk somewhere in the middle, whether your girl is Carly Fiorina or you feel the burn with Bernie Sanders, we'll have honest, sharp discussions that explore the issues, unravel the problems, and hammer out solutions until they're sound. Thank you for joining us tonight for Tipping Point. I hope you'll join us again tomorrow, and in the meantime, keep up the conversation with me on Twitter at @Liz_Wheeler, and have a great night.